Okay, now it's time for part two of the welcome to week four, the serious but still fun part. Week four is really a pivot point in our class. Why do I say that? It all has to do with next steps. In our first 3 weeks, we have been gaining a basic understanding of how Koine or New Testament Greek functions, and how it's both like English in some ways and unlike English in other ways, and those other ways can create a fuller, richer, deeper sense of meaning for us. But in week four, we begin to take some next steps that will lead you forward in 2 directions. First, now that you've laid a foundation for understanding New Testament or Koine Greek, you can begin to work with some tools that relate to and build on that foundation. For the past 3 weeks, you've been listening to Greek words, listening to how they're pronounced, watching Dr. Plummer pronounce them, watching him analyze them, reading what Dr. Novakovic and Dr. Klink write about them. And as a result of that, you've begun to understand a bit how important individual words and their meanings are in the Greek New Testament. In week four, you'll be learning more about Greek words and how to study their meanings in Mounts chapter 10. You'll be learning about how to gain a sense of the meaning of Greek words that can, and often does, take you beyond the sense and meaning that you could derive from simply reading a Greek word in its translation into English. Second, this week you'll be learning more about cases and their meanings. As you do that, you'll be building on the foundation you've already laid for understanding Greek nouns and cases and meanings. How? By starting to familiarize yourself with some of the other ways that the 4 basic Greek cases, nominative, genitive, dative, and accusative, can function to produce meanings that are different from the basic foundational meanings, the ones you already learned in your study of Mounts chapter 5. This week you'll be learning about different ways that the 4 basic cases can function. There are lots of ways, and they create really important meanings. But, and this is a really important concept to grasp, your biblical software is terrific at identifying the case name for a noun. But what it won't and can't tell you is how the case function is working, how the case is functioning to create meaning, or in other words, the meaning that's being created by the case in any particular place. For instance, biblical software will tell you if a noun you're looking at is a dative case, but it won't tell you if the dative case you're looking at is being used with the meaning of an indirect object, or if the dative case you're looking at is being used with the meaning of a dative of interest, as it's called. What's a dative of interest, you ask? You will learn about it when you read Mounts chapter 11 and section 11.14. So, Dr. Davis, am I now expected to know, or even worse, to memorize all these possible ways that cases can function and all the meanings they create, so that I'm able to recognize them on sight when I read through the New Testament in Greek? No, absolutely not. But you do need to be introduced to some more meanings that cases can create. You need to see them for the first time. And most importantly, you need to know you can come back to Mounts chapter 11 when you're looking at a dative case, wondering why it's being translated like that in an English Bible translation in your own study of any text in the New Testament. You can come back to Mounts chapter 11 and see if you've forgotten one of the ways the dative case can be used. Or you can use your laminated Mounts study sheet to help see cases and functions and meanings. That may be handier and easier to use than using a book. But ultimately, when you do that, what you will find is a list of the ways the cases may be used. It will be up to you as the interpreter not your biblical software, not even the list of ways cases can be used that you'll find on the Mounce laminated study sheet or in your book. No, it will be up to you to decide which of the possible case meanings, the ones you find by looking back in Mounce or using the study sheet, which of the possible case meanings you think is the best meaning for the noun you are looking at in the context where you're looking at it. Is that dative case in front of me right now a dative indirect object, a dative of interest, or something else? Go back to Mounce or to the laminated study sheet. Look at the way that case uses can function to produce meaning, and then make a decision. Choose from the range of meanings for each case in Greek, like you choose from the range of meanings for each word in Greek. And if that seems like a lot of work, take heart. Now you know about resources to use, and that's really the purpose of this course, to give you those resources so that you can use them. We are not trying to learn to read Greek like we read English. To do that, you would need a year or two, not just 1 quarter. No, what I'm trying to do for you is to help you get a beginner's grasp of how Greek works and a knowledge of where to turn when you forget something or you want to get more information about something that you read in your English translation, something you want to know more about. It's a word that sticks out to you when you study, so you turn to Greek. And Greek software tells you what case it is, but it doesn't tell you what meaning that case is creating. You want to know more than what the biblical software tells you. Now you know. You have resources to go to find a list of possible meanings from which you can choose and understand how any particular case is functioning in any particular place in the Greek New Testament. I hope I've said enough to kind of whet your appetite for week 4 and the next steps you'll be taking in week 4 of our course. It's time to build on the foundation of the first 3 weeks. So let's get started taking those next steps.